Yo, what is happening, guys? This is Rob of Rule of Two Review, and welcome back. So, this is pretty crazy because somehow we have even another rumor about another Metroid game to talk about. This is so weird, and like, not even 2 weeks ago, I made a video about Metroid Prime 4 and Bayonetta 3, and the fact that there was this weird Nintendo of Norway post that seemed to hint that those games are being suddenly confirmed for 2018, but of course that got pulled down. There was rumors that it was from a third-party company. I don't really know that we can believe that, but it was a thing that happened, and some rumors I really like to talk about on the channel because it's a lot of fun to consider, and anything about Metroid, you guys know me, I'm gonna jump on it. I want to discuss these things because it's interesting and it's fun, and that's why we do this stuff. And man, do I want as much Metroid as we can possibly get after that huge drought that we went through from 2010 with Other M all the way up to just last year, what is now last year, 2017, with Metroid Samus Returns on the 3DS. We can't have droughts like that again. We simply can't, so this is pretty exciting news. But full disclosure, before we jump into the whole exciting news territory, I should probably just state this is, as most of these things tend to be, a rumor, and not really a rumor I think any of us should really put any stock into, but there's some interesting details and some tidbits to discuss, something that I think makes it worthwhile to talk about, which is why, like I said, I'm making this video, because I like talking about Metroid whenever I have a reason to, and this is a pretty weird piece of news. So basically what had happened is, there was a rumor floating around out there that there is also, on top of Metroid Prime 4, another 2D Metroid in development from Nintendo right now, and apparently it's for some sort of undetermined platform, so that leaves only two options as far as we know, which would be the 3DS and the Nintendo Switch. There is the possibility that based on, let's pretend that this was true, that based on when Nintendo would plan on releasing this thing, maybe it's in like 3 years, and at that point, some other kind of new platform that Nintendo has yet to even unveil to us might be out, and maybe this is meant to be on that platform, like another dedicated handheld, aside from the Switch and the 3DS. Super unlikely. I wouldn't let anyone put any stock into that, but I mean, that's just the nature of the details. So basically, yeah, that's what's going on, is there's some discussion about another 2D Metroid in development. Now, really quickly, where this is coming from is some website or forum, or like forum message board or something that I've only recently started hearing about, called Reset Era, that apparently a lot of information is starting to come from. I don't know that it makes it any more legitimate or viable, but that is a place where stuff is coming from, including this rumor. And from Reset Era is a user who has some insane name, like Mokalostra Kokalos or something is his name. Mokalostra. This guy or girl, this person basically made a post about a possible 2D Metroid, and there's a couple of details about this person, but first let me read you the quick quote about what this person is apparently claiming. As far as I know, there's an unannounced 2D Metroid game in development on a really early production state. Can't say the studio, though, don't want to jeopardize my source. So there you go, there's Mocha Lusterhastra stating whatever sort of weird rumor he knows. Now here's the reason that this kind of started to make some rounds and had just a little bit of traction into some of the bigger kind of websites and, bigger, mid-tier, bigger kind of websites and news outlets, is because this person apparently predicted Metroid Samus Returns back in 2016. Now, when I first saw the blurb about this, and I saw that the reason that this gained traction was because this person predicted another 2D Metroid for the 3DS in 2016, I was like, okay, but anyone could have predicted that. People were talking about that for years. So what makes this person so special? To me, that would only be special if the 2016 prediction was a Metroid 2 remake was coming to the Nintendo 3DS. And to be fair, I did a little bit of digging. I'm not a pro when it comes to digging, but I did a little bit. And as far as I can tell, I think that yes, that is actually what this person did predict, was a remake of Metroid 2 was coming sometime in the future. And that was the 2016 post that this person made. So, hey, if in fact that's true, and I'm not the person who would state that that's 100% exactly the way it went down, but a couple of the sort of paths that I followed into the internet showed me that I think that is what happened. So if that's true, yeah, that lends quite a bit of credence and credibility into the idea of this person predicting something else in terms of another Metroid game. And so that brings us to what he's talking about, another 2D Metroid basically being developed by Nintendo. So let's get into the goods of this rumor and what's going on, and should we believe it? Now, obviously, I have a really rocky history when it comes to what we should believe or not believe as far as Metroid rumors, because I was so sure that we were not going to get any Metroid games at E3, let alone 2, which was the big rumor leading into E3, and as we know, that turned out to be true, which I am totally cool with, man. I've said it so many times. I'm not here to make predictions just to be the cool guy that got them right. I just like talking about it because it's fun to predict, and when I am right, that's pretty fun. I certainly don't mind being right. So I'm not going to sit here and do that again. I'm just going to talk about the pros and cons and how I could believe this and how I couldn't. So I definitely lean more towards not believing this, just because it seems weird that Nintendo would release a 2D Metroid on the 3DS and then whatever year or two later, Metroid Prime 4, and then already have another Metroid ready to go? Coming off of such a huge drought from Metroid and Samus-related games, and people wondered for so long if Metroid was even dead, I would find it surprising that Nintendo would be willing to dive in so deep. We're seeing incredible dedication to Metroid as a franchise and Samus as a character, with 2 Metroid games being announced at E3. The fact that Metroid Prime 4 was almost the really obvious one. To me, the big surprise was that they had this amazing 2D side-scrolling, beautiful, and fantastic 3DS Metroid game. I mean, I always assumed that if we were ever going to get another Metroid game, like a Samus Metroid game, not a Federation Force, but a Samus Metroid game, that it was going to be basically what Metroid Prime 4 is, the next generation brand new console epic adventure of Samus. So to me, what Metroid Prime 4 represents was a given. I didn't expect it to be Prime, but I did expect what that game represents, the new console Metroid. To me, the fanboy wish list, oh my god, dream come true kind of thing would have been also a handheld 2D throwback Metroid. And I never would have seen those games coming, and sure enough, we did get that with Samus Returns. And so we've now, the release of Samus Returns has come and gone, and now this rumor is stating, oh, Nintendo's already preparing even another 2D Metroid. It just seems kind of too good to be true, man. I just don't know why Nintendo would want to do that. Samus Returns has reviewed very well. Fans love it. The sales, as far as we understand, have been just pretty good. It hasn't blown the world up as far as sales. It's been just pretty good. Now, there's a reason why we might still be able to believe this. If we take a look at the sales, I would like to hope that Nintendo didn't put all of the sales pressure on Samus Returns because it was a 3DS game releasing at the end of 2017. If it was put on the Switch, we should expect monstrous sales. But they did put this game on the 3DS, which is a dying, waning, very outdated piece of hardware, as much as I love it. So how much sales should you really expect out of a 3DS title that isn't Pokemon in 2017? Also, it's entirely possible that if there was any truth to this, Nintendo might be doing something that might be much less time-consuming and R&D heavy and money heavy, as far as developing maybe like a hand-drawn or an old-school sprite-based Metroid game that would be a brand new Metroid game that could complement Metroid Prime 4 and probably release after Metroid Prime 4, I would think, and something that might be, honestly, not a full-priced retail release. What if they're doing something that's meant to release on the eShop for 20 or 30 bucks and be something akin to like what Steam World Dig is? I think that could be really cool, and that is the Metroid 2D game that I would start to believe in. I don't know if I could believe that they're going so crazy and putting this insane budget to make this epic, brand new next-generation HD Nintendo Switch $60 retail release of a new 2D Metroid that they're working on alongside of Metroid Prime 4, which they're putting all of their resources, all of their money and manpower into Metroid Prime 4. That is a huge project for sure. Are they going to also split their resources into another game? The argument could then be made that maybe they're outsourcing that game. The way Mercury Steam took over Samus Returns, Team Ninja did Other M, and I know people want to complain about it, but that's a thing that happened. They had another third-party studio come in to aid or at least create the game from the ground up. That could make it a little bit more feasible to think that maybe they have somebody else working on Metroid, the 2D game, whereas Nintendo is working internally on Metroid Prime 4. And if there's truth to this, we can go back to another recent rumor, Bandai Namco being involved with Metroid. The rumor, which I don't really believe, but hey, again, I've been wrong before, maybe I'm wrong here. The rumor is that Bandai was helping develop Metroid Prime 4, but what if the rumor is not entirely true, and Bandai is working on a Metroid game, but it's not Metroid Prime 4. It's this weird 2D little side-scroller Metroid, whatever they're trying to do there. So, anyway, this is getting long in the tooth. The point is, there's 100 different ways that this could be coming together to make it a possible thing. So yeah, hey, this person was apparently correct with, Metroid Samus Returns 2 years ago. Maybe they're correct on this. But, in bringing it back down to reality, I'm going to level with you one last time here, you guys. It's a little bit hard for me to believe this still, mostly because of the first couple of things that I brought up. I feel like Nintendo is laser focused on Metroid Prime 4. I feel like they want to let Samus Returns have the next year of its life. I think that they're probably planning a Metroid Prime trilogy release on the Switch in some capacity. I've said that many times. I don't know that they need to do a 2D Metroid on the Switch. I want it, you guys. I want it more than I want breath in my lungs. Metroid Prime 4, Samus Returns, another 2D Metroid, especially if they go with a hand-drawn or a 16-bit sprite-based kind of game. Ugh, on the Switch, it would be so incredible. I want it, you guys, but I just don't know that Nintendo needs to do it. Let's let Samus Returns do its thing. We'll see if we get a Prime Trilogy re-release. We'll get Metroid Prime 4. We'll have that game come and go and make a big splash and be the amazing game we know it's going to be. And then Nintendo probably wants to look into Metroid. I feel like, of all the series, for Nintendo to triple stack on top of each other with 3 games and 3 huge projects, Metroid is probably near the bottom of that list of series that I would see Nintendo doing that with. I mean, again, nothing is impossible, but why wouldn't they do that with a Zelda or a Mario or an Animal Crossing or a Mario Kart or whatever? I mean, those are the franchises where I feel Nintendo would double and triple stack. Metroid, again, we were blessed with the fact that they double stacked Samus Returns and Metroid Prime 4. I feel like expecting a third game is just probably asking for too much. Anywho, this was something I was really excited to discuss, and now you've heard my thoughts as a Metroid super fan. It sounds great. We all want to believe it. Right now, we are in literally the rumor typhoon. There are so many rumors. Going back to January 1st, 2018, which was 2 weeks ago from the recording of this video, and all the hype and the hullabaloo and the scuttlebutt on the internet about the Nintendo Direct, and it was going to be real, it wasn't going to be, there was going to be every single amazing game we wanted, there was going to be no games, then there wasn't an announcement of it, then it was a mini that was dropped the same day, now we're hearing rumors about Pikmin 4 and Bayonetta 3 and Metroid 2D game and all sorts of stuff. Ubisoft is sending cryptic tweets about new Nintendo games, what's happening with South Park. It's ridiculous. There's so many rumors. I just feel like anyone can go onto any message board and just type up the perfect thing that people are going to want to believe in, press send, and then everyone's going to believe it. And then here I am making a darn stupid video about it when it's probably not even a real game. So, anyway, I'm going to calm down. I'm going to end this video. This is what I think. Anything is possible. It could happen. I listed a lot of ways and a lot of reasons why we could believe it. But I'm ultimately leaning towards not believing it for now. Let's just stick to Metroid Prime 4 and be excited for that. And then, hopefully, if that sells well, that's when Nintendo will realize, okay, Metroid matters, people want their Samus, now we're going to work on the next Metroid game. Those are my thoughts. What do you guys think? Do you think that there's any traction or believability to this, or do you think it's kind of being overblown? Do you think that this was an important conversation to have, or maybe a waste of 15 minutes for me to talk about it because it's probably not going to be a real game? I want to hear you guys discuss it. That's it for me on this topic today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I super appreciate it. I am trying to push to 10,000 subscribers. I'm less than 1,500 away. I'm hoping that 2018 is my year to finally crack that milestone and just continue to grow bigger and bigger. So, if you're new to the channel in this video, then please consider subscribing if you like Nintendo and gaming and the occasional Star Wars video, because that's mostly what I do here. So with that said, this is Rob of Rule of Two Review. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I will catch you next time on another video.